Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, and thank you for joining the first Florida Broker Roundtable for 2018, where broker Robert Milligan, along with our Movement Mortgage guest, Tony Fitzgerald, will be discussing the current state of the market. Before we begin, we're excited about a few newer highlights here at Allison James Estates and Homes, the first being our coaching program. This is a nationwide program that caters to all levels of production. If you want to be coached by a top producing agent, understand your weaknesses and how to overcome them, and increase your social media and marketing knowledge, this program is for you. Other highlights are Real Estate and Tools and Technology Tuesday and Fun Facts Friday, which will feature anything related to the tools AJI offers. Both are live on Facebook. Lastly, please don't hesitate to schedule a one-on-one call with me for all your questions concerning our systems here at AJI. Or if you just need a refresher course on Allison James University, please feel free to reach me at support@ajicorporate.com. And without further ado, I will hand the spotlight over to Robert and Tony. Welcome, gentlemen, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Tony, for being here with us today. I know a lot of people have looked forward to the information that you have and want to learn more about what's going on in the loan market as we go into 2018. So definitely appreciate your time here.
Absolutely. It's good to be here. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought a good place to start would be just your general observations about what you're expecting in the market ahead this year compared to maybe what we saw last year.
Well, I think last year was actually a pretty good year. I think the biggest challenges that I saw is I had a lot of buyers and not enough properties to fit those needs. We've got a lot of buyers that are in that 185 to 225 range that are coming onto the market, and there's just not houses out there. So I've been really trying to steer those people towards some of the fixer-uppers and do the 203K loans. So I think a lot of people stay away from things that they're not familiar with and do the cookie cutter stuff. And if you don't branch out and capitalize on some of those things, like those properties out there that just don't show well, and it's really hard to sell vision, you know. So if you can learn how to sell vision, get in there with a good mortgage lender that can do 203Ks quickly, and we can do home styles too. It can be conventional. But I see that right now, those properties are definitely something that we could turn over to a lot of our new clientele. Last year, the other challenges I think was the end of the year was Irma. Scared everybody. We had the Irma shift. Not only did we get really fat for a week, but you know, we had a lot of people kind of worry. We still closed all our loans with Irma. We didn't have any problems, and we're very proactive about getting out there. We didn't even have to have them reinspect unless there was damage reported. So
yeah, that's interesting. I know I ate all of my hurricane supplies before the hurricane actually hit. So the snack attack, the nervous eating. But yeah, that was definitely disruptive to the market. And so let's go into a little more detail on it, because I think that's a great tip to not gloss over too quickly, is that for most of the market areas in our state, you know, there is still a shortage of inventory, and a lot of the realtors that are listening today are probably newer to the industry in some cases. So, you know, that 203B, that might be a new concept. So that's a good niche.
So there's two types of renovation loans. There's FHA, and then there's a conventional loan. And the conventional loan is called the home style, and the 203K, which is your renovation loan for, I don't know if anyone knows this, but all FHA loans are 203. They have a letter afterwards. The B is your regular purchase and finance, and a K stands for the renovation loan. So when a lot of people just think that 203K is the only thing out there, but with a home style loan, we can do pools, we can do landscaping. And a lot of people don't realize that you can actually just tear down a house, leave the floor, and rebuild a home. Now, you have to stay with the conventional loan limits. That becomes an issue.
Sure.
You have to stay within the FHA loan limits. That can become an issue. But overall, it it can increase your ability to sell big time.
Absolutely, it opens up a giant segment of the market that we, that is a challenge we're all directly facing right now, which is just a lack of good turnkey inventory.
Right, and how many times do you look at this property, like, oh my gosh, they're just never going to go for this property. But if you go to like Fiverr or some type of person, get a really good contact that is a designer that might do something, or even just go to Home Depot, grab a sample of a floor, a couple different samples. They'll make it for you. They'll give it to you, and do a sample board of products, countertop, like just like you're selling a kitchen. Okay, but you're selling the house, because when you go in and the kitchen's orange because it's from the 1970s, and you go in there, it's really hard to sell vision, because most people, when you're showing a home, they don't have the same vision you do. They have, both of them, especially if they're a couple, have two completely different visions when they're walking through that home, and they just don't see the after improved look, So what you do is you bring in these things, you say, look, I realize the kitchen's outdated, I realize that it needs new bathrooms, but it's priced appropriately for it. And we can get this in a loan. And I've got an estimated value of about, $30,000 to bring this up to speed, or it needs a new roof, it needs this. We can put 60 grand into this house, and you're gonna walk away with even more than that in equity, because most of the times when we're doing these improvements, the values come well more than what so when we go out to appraise them, the appraisers go out and they take the laundry list of things to be done, and they look at the current house and they imagine as if all of these things are done, and when they run their comps, they do the same thing. So now this property that's $125,000 piece of junk with a bad roof is being compared to the $250 or $250,000 properties out there. So now a lot of times you're getting a lot more value out of those repairs, and people are walking in with a little bit of sweat equity.
It makes good sense. It's a good point.
Selling the vision is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And if you can learn how to do that, you can have a lot more sales.
Totally agree. And I'm not quite as dialed into the mortgage market as you are, obviously, but I read articles here and there, and just talking about interest rates in general. My general observation is I think that they're moderately trending upward over the course of the year. Is that a fair statement? Or?
Yes, we've had a few rate adjustments last year, and most people that don't know about interest rates, higher interest rates are only a sign of a good economy. When you have a poor economy, that's why our interest rates were lower. No matter what political party you're affiliated with, it really has nothing to do with but you got to look at your perception of, we had a very low GDP. We had very poor unemployment. So all of these things come back in numbers, and when they want to keep it, they want to keep within they have a number, it's 3%. They want to keep within that range, and if the GDP goes down, your interest rates go down. If things go up, your interest rate goes up, because they want to cap the growth at 3% so that they don't have an immense surge in prices. They don't want inflation. They're trying to curb the inflation. So so sorry for the long story, but a lot of people don't realize that it comes directly from our economy. So as our economy is increasing, which it is, they're going to keep raising that rate to cap the growth so that it doesn't exceed 3%.
Yeah, and that's good info. And as we try to dissect what those macro trends mean, we're as realtors always kind of looking specifically for us and for our local market, what that could mean. Because in my opinion, we could even go up to 5% or 6% and have relatively low rates when you look at a historical chart in the grand scheme of things. And yes, monthly payments would go up a touch, but not quite as markedly as people may guess. And I don't think it would have a significantly derogatory effect on our market. Might slow down a little bit. It might create a different type of a buyer, but nevertheless, it will still be a very healthy market, even at 6% is my general sense. But
I totally agree. How high did the interest rates get back they were at 12, 13% at one point.
Yeah.
So historically, even 8% is okay. But the thing is look at the jobs that are being produced. The companies just offered just this current tax plan that was, whether people are afraid of it or not, there's already talk of people giving all of that savings back into bonuses and employees, which means they can spend that on the homes you're selling. So even though we're trending upward in interest rate, income for those families should be trending upward too.
And that's a good point. Yeah.
And I think people are afraid. There's a few sticky points I think everybody has when they're selling, right? And especially in an uneducated area. So, well, why should I buy now if the interest rates are high? Well, the interest rates may never get lower. You never know. There could be a whole nother floor in 10 years at 10% being the lowest that will ever be. So what you have to be able to do is disarm people in that kind of kickback that you get, those things. Well, I shouldn't buy now. The interest rate's going up. The property prices are going higher. Well, yes, they are, but they don't make more land. They don't make more land, and the economy is growing. The income's going to increase. And I've got a really great tool that I use with the realtors that work with me. And it helps them throughout the approval process, and it shows them what they're paying in rent and what they're going to pay in a mortgage. And a lot of times people are like, well, I'm paying $1,400 now in rent, and maybe I'll go to $1,500 in a mortgage. Well, what they're not thinking about is what their rent looks like in 10 years.
Yeah.
Because their rent is strategic or traditionally going to go anywhere from $70 to $100 a year or higher. So I've got this tool that goes out, and it's a 90-day pre-qual kit, and every 10 days they get a custom email, and it looks like it's from you and me, and they get this email and it says, look, this is a really good idea to buy. It just enforces that, and it shows that over the period of the next 9 years, you're going to be paying almost $700 more in rent, but when you go into that house, that's going to stay the same.
Right. That's another great point.
Yeah. So your house payment's going to be static.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I guess, and I also put this asterisk in here that, I don't expect, and, when we're talking about 8%, 10%, we're definitely not going to see any movement like that over the course of a year. I mean, for 2018, we might be talking about a quarter point here, a quarter point there, just very, very minute moves, I would guess, for this year.
Right. And we talked about this earlier, but so rate is based on the company's services and their ability to close loans. Okay. Also, it's based on risk. So, for instance, condos are higher because people walk away from condos quicker than a single family. Loans under 100,000 are higher. Loans under 50,000 are even higher. Investment properties are higher. People that are in a primary residence over a $200,000 loan with really good credit, because credit is a risk too, and you're going to have a lower interest rate than the people that aren't. So I'm already pricing loans into the 5%, but again, it's a condo investment property, and those are just going to be higher. So when people flash these interest rates out there, it means most of the time it's at least 25 to 30% down. They're not showing 20% down in the fine print. They're charging you exorbitant amount of fees, whether it's origination or a lender fee or points. And, it's apples to oranges. So going out there and shopping for the best interest rate isn't the way to get a mortgage. Going out there and shopping for someone that in this market, this market is still a seller's market.
Sure.
So we want to go in there and offer a contract that's going to close in less than 30 days.
Right.
And we can do that.
Absolutely.
And those other lenders, you're looking at extensions after 60.
Right. And I think if I could interject a point too, is that, I won't name any specific names, but, I think it generally is a great idea to have a relationship with somebody local, such as Tony, that actually cares about your repeat business as a realtor and actually cares about the customer specifically. And again, I won't mention names, but there's companies that we see TV ads, nationally for, and you're just kind of relying on a spreadsheet, and they may advertise pretty incredible things or say pretty incredible things early on in the contract process. only to have some disappointments, you know, a week or two before closing, and that's bad for everybody.
Right. And we pay our rates might be higher than some of those because we underwrite up front. And I mean, really, and we'll touch on a word that's kind of a controversial topic because people don't understand it. What's the difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval? Nobody knows.
Right.
Most of the time, they don't, and they think that a pre-approval means more than a pre-qualification. But to be honest, it really depends on who has signed it.
Sure.
So if I'm Joe Schmo, anyone, and I have taken someone's credit application and I have looked at what they've told me under what they make, and I've looked at what they've told me their assets are, I can run, and sometimes they don't even run Desktop Underwriter. They just look at it and everything looks right, and they say, hey, great, here's your pre-qual, go shopping. They might even call that a pre-approval because it's really not the word, it's what's done for that. And when you guys are out shopping with those, you can expect to have lots of hangups. So when you give me a client and a contract, those are the kind of hangups that you can possibly have. Now the next step is that loan officer that collects their documents, does the crunch work, does Desktop Underwriter, and gets it automated approved. Still doesn't mean it's going to close. There's no guarantee on any close, even with a loan commitment. However, you've got a lot more stock in that. And I would rather, as a realtor, as an agent being out here, have someone taking me around or I'd rather have someone in my car that I know someone's looked at their assets.
Right.
But that's not even the best. What we do is we take that's what I do. My assistant crunches the numbers, they cross the T's, dot the I's. We get this file prepared just like we're closing for that person without a property. We send it to an underwriter. And with us, once we get all the documents and they sign a couple things, we can have the underwriter, we got a 6-hour underwrite window. So
amazing.
yeah, so if it's at 4 o'clock the next day, it's 4 o'clock today, we're going to get an answer. Unless there's a problem, then it goes into not ready. Then but the thing is what the benefit of that is for you is that I can tell you, hey, we have an approval, I've got a loan commitment, and you can go shop. I would much rather have a pipeline of loan commitments, not wasting my time and wasting any energy on people who are not that don't have that.
Absolutely.
Because you will close more loans faster, and I can close a loan commitment I can close them in 20 days. And now you're going for a 30-day contract. All of a sudden, you look like a rock star because we've closed this. We've cleared a close in 21 days, and we can move up your closing date.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And how many more transactions can you fit when you're not worried about those things?
Yeah.
And when you and it's not your fault. It's not necessarily the loan officer's fault. But when you guys when everyone's so hurried to put someone in a home, no matter what, they get a pulse.
Yeah.
That's when you're having problems.
Yeah.
And at least if you give them all to us, we'll evaluate them all, and they're either going to get a home or they're not. Yeah. And if they're not, we'll put them on a plan together and get them to that point. And it could be 6 months and it could be 10 years.
Yeah.
But they're at least in your pipeline, and you're not driving around in your car wasting time right now.
Sure. So no, that makes good sense. And I thought maybe it would be good, again, assuming that some of our audience is a little bit early in their career as a realtor, what are some things that they could maybe coach their customers to have ready to help this process? Is there any paperwork or statements or anything that makes your life a lot easier to have these people prepped a little?
Yes, and you're right. And when you work with a lender, when you work with someone like me, you want to find someone that you can develop a relationship, you can call on the weekend, that will respond to you on the weekend. But when you're working with that person and you're working with the client, we're a team. So if I'm sending you an email that says you need X documents, then to help me out, right? But what they typically need is they'll need 60 days of bank statements from their assets. They'll need 401k terms of withdrawal. They'll need any asset statements they have. We'll need 30 days of pay stubs. We'll need W-2s.
Okay.
tax returns. We don't always use the tax returns on W-2 employees, but we like to collect them in case we need them.
Would that be 2 years?
2 years, 2 years tax returns. Unless they're in a bond loan, like some kind of assistance, sometimes we need 3.
Okay.
And then you've got your people who are self-employed, so we need all schedules of their tax returns. We need everything. And Social Security card, driver's license, just to confirm their identity. Those are really the meat and potatoes of the things that we need.
Right.
If they have a bankruptcy, we need their paperwork. If they have a divorce and paying alimony, we need their divorce decree. For child support, we need if you've got someone that's really close to their timeline on foreclosures, we need the foreclosure deed. So those are things that you guys can actually help them with, because a lot of clients, here's what happens. We think the clients understand all the things that we ask for, and we don't help them walk them through it. And if you want to help the process go, and a lot of people like to be hands-on, do those couple of things. Like, you guys know where the property websites are. You guys know how to look for that stuff. Say you had a foreclosure, hey, let me go get your foreclosure deed. Let's be proactive, because you're going to be able to help evaluate, and you'll see the real evidence whether or not we can do a loan or not too, because of the timeline. So there's a few things you can do, be proactive at. But yeah, and we have paperwork that we can hand the people that work with us too, as part of their initial package that's co-branded for free. And they can, both of our pictures on it. It's really nice marketing materials, and you pay nothing for it.
Yeah, that's good info. Well, and that kind of leads me to another thought. So, just a general trend in the industry. Prior to the Great Recession, there was a phenomenally minimal amount of qualifying and scrutiny to new borrowers, and then we saw obviously the pendulum swung pretty far the other way, where we had to get an extraordinarily extensive amount of background to qualify anybody for a loan. And as a trend in 2018, do you expect for that to ease more and more? Do you think there's more aggressive programs coming this year? Okay.
I do. I think for both, and I'll tell you a couple of examples of both. Obviously, the current administration does not like the CFPB whatsoever. They want to get rid of it. And as a matter of fact, the CFPB, if people don't know this, right now their hands are tied. They are not going to be doing any investigation or anything for quite some time, because there have been 2 directors promoted, one from the Democratic Party and one from the president. And those 2 people are now butting heads, and there's a lawsuit against each other.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so right now the CFPB is in a mess, and unless they hand it back to HUD, which they took it over from HUD for that, there's a lot of things that won't be enforced. Now, that doesn't mean go Wild West and go throw your money everywhere, but I'm just saying right now that's a sign of the times. They're in trouble. They're going to be loosening regulations. But we Movement Mortgage, we have a super great relationship with Fannie, Freddie. We have a great relationship with CFPB. When we go into an office rental, they evaluate it. We do exactly what they tell us we can do, which doesn't always make us competitive, because you can go get more from someone that's not, but you're risking a $20,000 a day fine, so you don't want that either. So you might get a little bit, couple more $100 a month for your office rental, but your exposure is huge. So, but that being said, because we've got that relationship, they started a pilot program with us last year that they took away because too many other banks were jealous. Fannie only did it with Movement Mortgage, and they offered 3% down on a 97% mortgage. They gave 3%, so basically it's better than 100% financing, because the client's getting 3% of it for free, forgiven, and then you're only financing 97% loan. So imagine going out there and selling a home for $200,000.
Yeah.
Your client's only ever going to pay 97% of that. So right then you can ask for a 3% seller credit easily, and we were putting people in for $1,200 out of their pocket.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely aggressive.
Right. So they've stopped that because too many lenders complained that they weren't given that opportunity, and it was just a pilot program. So I expect more programs to be available.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend, is that the level of aggression is coming back to try to create more, innovative programs to make it easier for people to get into houses.
Yeah.
Probably, slightly less scrutiny and red tape to go through to qualify somebody. But, there's always, hopefully, post the Great Recession, I think there will always be a healthy level of checks and balances to make sure somebody can repay a loan before they get the money. We don't want to see that again.
No, you're right. You're right. And I'll hear that. Look, you guys are going to cause foreclosure rate. Now let's talk about that, because it really makes sense. So let's say the foreclosure rate right now, I'm really not sure what it is, but it's not high. Okay, right now it's not high. But there's an acceptable foreclosure rate, because you can, if you want 100% like 100%,
it's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So but let's take 100 people. You put 100 people in a family, and the government says, look, let's give these 100 people a opportunity. 10%. Let's say we allow a 10%. So okay, so 10 people foreclosed, but 90 people did not. So even if at what number is it not acceptable anymore? I'd say the reciprocal of that's not acceptable.
Right.
But even if you got a 20% foreclosure rate, you've got 80 people that you put into homes. So the more you restrict those, the less people that could qualify, could keep their homes.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have a foreclosure rate.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the people will always have hardships. There will always be unforeseen job losses, health situations, and problems that come up. Unfortunate times, people pass, and their state doesn't have the resources. Things like that. It's just inevitable.
And beyond that, there's character flaws that people that we can't evaluate.
Sure.
People just decide, hey,
it happens.
This is not what I want. So,
yeah. So maybe too, I thought what could be kind of nice and a nice way to wrap up, if there's any questions, anybody can interject at any time, and would be happy to do that, now live, or anytime in the future. But you told me a great story, kind of just about your personal character, your background, as a firefighter, just because you're definitely not the typical financial, you're not cut from the financial industry, from that cloth, so you have a little different approach that I thought was great and serves you well. So.
No, I do. I like having, I come back from, I was a 26-year firefighter veteran. I still teach, because that is huge. And my biggest thing is I want to teach people to be of great character. Right? More than anything, you want someone to show up with your grandma that you know is going to take care of that person. Yeah. And that's what I want to do for, in this industry too. And I want to have that personal relationship with people. And people say that, and they throw that loosely around all the time, and it's not correct. For me, the people that I work with, we go out on the boat together, we go do things together, we connect. They know to call me if they have a problem. And had some tragedy happen in a family, and I was there the next day. It's not for promotion. It's not for self-promotion. It's because I generally care. So when you know and trust somebody, and you're in a relationship with that, you can just go get business and not worry about it. So it's really good.
No, that is cool. And just the background of being a firefighter, where you're running into stressful situations, you're not afraid of that, and it's not quite as dire with loans, but certainly it's not for the weak and faint of heart either.
Right. No.
Gotta take responsibility. And
yes, and I'm a really great problem solver. And when I entered this, and I told Robert earlier that it's someone. I actually got a loan through Movement Mortgage, and I was impressed. And they asked me to do a loan. Or they asked me to become a loan officer when I retired from the fire department. And I'm like, what? I kick down doors and rescue babies. I don't do loans. Like, that sounds like the most boring thing possible. It's something I don't want to do. But it's actually been great, because, and something I didn't share with you is, I watched a lot of families lose their homes.
Sure.
And I had no idea that this was going to be a healing process. And I had 5 closings in 2 days. And I saw these families be happy. And all of a sudden I'm like, I had this revelation that, oh my gosh, I'm putting people into homes. I'm doing the opposite of what I used to see. I see people lose everything. So to be that person to help them get into a home, that's healing for me too.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of undoing.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's quite traumatic to have somebody's house burned to the ground versus reversing that process. That's pretty cool.
Right. So
Yeah, so Tony is a great guy. He's on a very short list of people that I could probably call at 2 a.m. and, broken down on the side of the road and, have a pal there to rescue me. So he's a good guy. And again, what would the best way for people to reach you if they wanted to connect with you directly, or on the Facebooks or cell phone?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Please, on Facebook, please, Tony Fitzgerald, common spelling. And I have my phone number, 941-809-5150. But I've also got a really great app that has a bunch of tools, and it has referral tools. And if you guys refer someone and then they refer someone, you're going to get that second referral if they don't have an agent. So it's got a way to keep track of everybody. But it also has our movement approved condos, which, by the way, we're great at condos, and we can just kill the condo market and help you get listings. But if you text FITZ, the first letters of my last name, Fitz, to 36260, you can download my app on your phone and have direct contact with me for everything.
Oh, it's pretty slick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a good marketing tool.
Yeah, and how about email?
Tony.Fitzgerald@movement.com.
All right, perfect. Well, again, if you have any questions now, would be happy to go over anything. And you've got Tony's contact info direct, and most of you listening are, the biggest audience here is my own agents here in the state of Florida. But if you see a recording and want to know more about Alice and James, just get in touch with me, or have any questions about anything we discussed today, or anything else that you need help with, for that matter, that I could offer some broker support for. So again, we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us and spend half hour with some really great info, Tony, and Tracy, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Tony, and Robert, as always. And so everybody, again, we'll see you next month, and have a great day. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.